Hi, and welcome to another educational video by the Entropy system. I'm Daniel. Multiplicity is a complicated and confusing subject all on its own, but talk of integration can make it seem even more confusing. Where do the alters go? Who's left in the end? Is it like dying? Integration is a personal goal for our specific system, so I thought it was important to make a video talking about integration and our views on that topic. But before we dive straight into that, I first want to talk a little bit about the idea of multiplicity. This whole orange is our non-DID orange. This orange developed normally, for the most part, and doesn't have DID. I don't have a way to expand this analogy into things like schizophrenia or borderline personality disorder or other things like that, so please just ride along with me and pretend that this is just a non-DID orange with no other problems. So over here we have different parts of self. You know, we have like work self, home self, family self, friend self, you know, and some of these selves can be a little harder to control than others. Like sometimes angry self can be a little explosive and we have to learn how to control angry self. But for the most part, there is no real disconnect, no real effort that needs to be done to switch from, say, home self to family self. In DID brain, there are gaps between these parts. So it does take real effort to move from one part to another. And because these parts have been isolated, they have developed into full identities all on their own that may or may not fit with the actual image of this orange. Similarly, one of these orange slices could go most of its life not knowing that it's part of a bigger orange slice or that there are other orange slices at all. Just like how Wynn thought she was the only piece for 26 years until she realized, oh, hey, look at all these other parts that I have. So this orange is disconnected and loose and really doesn't look anything like this orange. What can this orange do to be functional? For this analogy, functionality is just taking the shape of an orange. Well, this DID orange has two options. The first option is something we call functional multiplicity. That is where the orange slices get in contact with one another and decide collectively to work as a team. And they say, all right, team, we're gonna hold this orange shape together. Look at us, we're such a great team, we did it, yay! Functional multiplicity is an extremely valid way for a DID system to live their life. There seems to be a misconception that integration, which is the melding of all the personalities, is the one and only way to cope with having DID. This is not the case. If a system is able to communicate and cooperate and work together to hold this orange shape and function out in the world, this is a totally great, fine way to live life. A system doesn't need to close these gaps to be considered healthy. They need to be functional to be considered healthy. And that's possible even as a multiple. So functional multiplicity is option one. What's option two? Well, that brings us back to integration. Integration is the closing of the gaps. So this orange found a way to regrow its little connections and have this be a whole orange, very similar to this one. Now, this orange will never, ever, ever be exactly like this orange because this orange is completely melded together. Once a person develops DID, they are always going to have DID because the brain didn't mush and cement together in childhood. Creating personalities, dissociating, creating parts is always going to be a coping mechanism that this brain has. Now, if this system integrates and sets up other coping mechanisms so that the brain doesn't have to resort to, you know, that extreme thing, then it can maintain life, you know, in one unit, but that will always be there. So what would integration look like for us specifically? So let's say like this is my part and this is Kit's part and this is, you know, Wynn and this is the rest of us. We don't have enough orange slices. One of the things we constantly get asked is, you know, if you are all gonna integrate, is Wynn gonna be the only one that's left? So this is Wynn's piece. And we'll say this is Mistletoe's piece. They have already integrated. They have already connected these parts and are now one part. That one part continues to identify as Win. However, this part has changed significantly. It used to look like this, and now it looks like this. Even though it identifies as Win, it's still different. So as we continue to integrate and close these walls, this orange slice that identifies as Win will continue to change. So will Win be the only one that's left? Well, I mean, kind of not really, because this orange, this fully integrated Win, still identifies as Win, but it is also a completely different orange. And now, not all of us in the entropy system are super duper on board with the idea of integration. Karen, for example, is very scared. To her, it's not like integration would be dying, but she feels very much like it would be, as if she was shoved into a corner and then just forgotten about. I am totally on board for integration, but I'm a little worried. I am concerned about what will that final orange look like. Like, I don't want Win to lose her sense of identity, and I'm worried about what new full orange version of Win, like, how's that going to change her? What's that going to mean for her relationships, for her friendships, for her marriage? I don't know. There are also members of our system that seem to have no problem. Kit seems super duper confident about everything. Win, obviously, feels super duper confident about the integration thing. Jonathan, Jacob, Lido, they feel like this is absolutely 100% going to be awesome. And, I'm trusting them a lot on that. Basically, there are just a lot of unknowns moving forward, and we will have a lot of questions we can't actually answer until that thing happens to us. Like, integration ultimately will be what allows us to live life to the fullest, because right now, we each feel like we're only living a fraction of what life could be. If we could find a way to combine all of our consciousnesses into one, then there wouldn't be feelings of, being left out or feeling like, we shouldn't be here. That we are intruding on someone's time with Win or Win's ability to do things or stuff like that. Or that people don't want to spend time with us. If we were able to merge into one, there would be no jealousy of people feeling like they're getting more attention than the others, or that they're being appreciated more than the others, because we would be one. So for us, that clears up a lot of pain and a lot of turmoil that we experience in our day-to-day. Other systems may not have that experience. Multiplicity in me is a fantastic example of someone who is living a very happy, productive life, and all of the parts in that system are comfortable living a shared life, and they have a way of living that's set up that makes all of them super happy, and that's great. If that's achievable, then that's fantastic, but we just don't feel like that is an option for us. Integration is a great option for us, and it may be a great option for other systems. There may be systems who decide that they don't want to integrate, that they just want to embrace functional multiplicity. That's fantastic. There are systems who have decided to absolutely not integrate, but it started happening anyway and just sort of naturally became a process that was part of their path. There are systems who have decided to integrate and couldn't for whatever reason, or part of their system could integrate, but some of those last final pieces couldn't, close those final gaps, so it was only partial integration. Plans don't always go how you want them to go. As much as we are gung-ho about integration, we're trying to keep that in mind too. I hope that clears up some confusion around the idea of multiplicity and integration. To all of you systems out there who are on your path to healing and have chosen functional multiplicity, that is fantastic. I hope that brings you nothing but joy. To those who have chosen integration for their path to healing, that's fantastic too. I hope that it goes really smoothly for you. For those who are on a path that they didn't necessarily choose, be it partial integration or functional multiplicity or integration that's just sort of coming by surprise, I hope that path that you didn't choose is leading you to a happy place anyway. Every system is different. Every system's journey is different. I hope that we can all celebrate and support one another on the independent journeys that we find ourselves on. That's all from me for now. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I hope you all have a really great day.